Hello everyone, welcome back to another lecture. For today's topic, our topic is managing the business. You see, all corporations depends on effective management. Whether they run a multi-billion dollar business like Google or even a small local boutique shop, for example, managers perform many of the same functions and have more or less the same responsibilities. Some of these responsibilities include analyzing their competitive environment. They also need to plan, they need to organize, they need to lead, direct, and also control their day-to-day operations of the business. So this is why we are going to learn today. Having a good manager is essential and can really change how a business performs in the future. For this part, we call it as management process. You see, management itself is the process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling the organization's resources, which include financial resources, we have physical resources, we have human resources, we have also information resources. So when they plan, organize, lead all of these resources and also control the resources, the objective is to make sure that it achieves the organization's goal. And many management problems and issues can actually be approached in ways that are rational, logical, objective, and systematic. Managers can gather data, facts, and objective informations and use quantitative methods, for example, and proper decision-making techniques to get to make the correct decisions. Okay, as you can see here, this figure 5.1 shows us the management process. It starts with planning and then followed by organizing and then go to leading and lastly controlling. So we are going to look at each of the definitions of this process in more detail. So the first basic management function is planning. When you want to determine what the organization needs to do and how best to get it done, this requires planning. Planning actually has three main components. It starts when managers determine the firm's goal. It starts when managers determine the firm's goal. And then after that, they would develop a comprehensive strategy to achieve those goals. After the strategy is developed, then they design tactical and operational plans to implement the strategy. Now we go to the next one, which is organizing. Managers must also organize people and other resources. For example, some business prepare charts. They show diagrams, they show various jobs within the company and how those jobs relate to one another. This organization charts helps everyone understand the roles and reporting relationship, and it is also a key part in terms of organizing function. The third basic management function that all managers have to perform is called leading. You see, managers, they have the power to give orders. They also have the power to demand results. Leading, however, it involves more complex activities. When leading, a manager works to guide. They also need to motivate their employees to meet the firm's objective. And then we look at controlling process. Controlling is actually the process of monitoring a firm's performance. So you monitor the firm's performance to make sure that it is meeting their goal. That's why we have to start with creating a goal first. This is a manager's responsibility. You create a goal, you create strategy and also the plan. Once you have this, then you can control or monitor the firm's performance. Are we meeting the goal or not? So all CEO normally they must pay close attention to cost and also performance. Repeat again, a quick summary. Management function have four basic functions. We start with planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Let's move on to the next one. Okay guys, this is the picture or diagram that shows the controlling process. My suggestion is for you to pause this video for a while, look at this diagram and read it for a while. This is easy for you to understand even by reading it. Thank you. Okay guys, this part here talks about the types of managers. Although all level of managers will have to do planning, they will have to organize, they have to lead, they have to control, but not all managers will have the same degree of responsibility for these activities. It is very helpful for us to classify managers according to the levels and also areas of responsibility. We have three basic levels of management. There are top managers, middle managers, and first line managers. You see, as they move up the ladder from first line to middle to top managers, the power increases the power of the manager increases. But the responsibility and the complexity of their work also increases. For top management, for example, we look at top management. This level is very much responsible for the firm's overall performance and also their effectiveness. So top managers, they set policies, they also formulate strategies, they approve significant decisions, yeah, and also they represent the company in dealing with stockholders, the board of directors. They also represent company when they talk about with other businesses and also normally with government bodies. Some of the common title for top managers, they include, we call them president, yeah, these are the top managers, vice president, treasurer, chief executive officer or CEO, or chief financial officer, CFO. These are all top managers. Then we move on below, we go to the middle managers. And for middle managers, they are responsible to implement the strategy, right? They are just there to implement strategies. They are supposed to implement the policies. They are also supposed to implement the decisions and goals set by the top managers. Some of the titles for middle managers, we call them as plant manager, operation manager, maybe division manager. These are all middle management slots. Lastly, we go to the first line manager. For first line manager, the duties of managers at this level, normally they depend on the job. Although most of the time, the first line manager, they would spend their time supervising the employees who report under them. So they are the one who takes care of the employees who report under them. And this, some of the titles that we give, normally supervisor, office manager, project manager, group leader, these are all first line manager. Okay, you can see here, this is kind of like a summary of what I have just explained. Again, you can just pause it and then read it for a few minutes, and then we can move on. Yeah, so you can pause first. Thank you. For the next part, we discuss on the areas of management. You see, in any large company, the top, the middle, and the first line managers just now, they actually work in variety of areas. So today we're going to learn about the 5 areas that they normally work in. The first one is human resource managers, and most companies, they have human resource managers. The human resource managers, they hire, they train employees. They also determine and evaluate performance. They also determine compensation, what kind of compensation, salary, wage, bonus, stuff like that. Okay, and then we go on to the next one, which is operation managers. You can see here, this one, operation managers. Just now we discussed already about human. When it comes to operation managers, the term operations refers to the system that is created in which a firm would produce goods and services. I repeat again, the terms operation actually refers to a system created by the firm to produce goods and services. And these managers, they are actually responsible for the production system in which a firm produces goods and services. They are also responsible in terms of inventory and also inventory control and also quality control. The next part is marketing managers, this one here. And in marketing managers, these managers, they are actually responsible for the development, pricing, promotion, and distribution of goods and services. And marketing managers, they are responsible for getting products from producers to consumers. The next area is information managers. These managers, they help to design, they also implement a system to gather, they also organize and distribute information. Again, the managers design and implement a system to gather, organize and distribute information. Because of the huge increase in volume of information nowadays in companies, therefore it leads to the emergence of this area. The next one, which is the financial managers. Financial managers, actually normally all companies would have financial managers, and financial managers help to plan and also check the accounting functions and also financial resources. And the level of financial managers may include CFO or maybe vice president of finance, division controller, or maybe even accounting supervisor. We will move on to the next one, which is the basic management skills needed to be a manager. So today we are going to discuss about 5 management skills. These are skills needed if a manager is going to be successful. We understand managers have a lot of roles, they have a lot of responsibilities to perform, but without these skills, it is going to make things harder for them, for their employees, and for the organization. So we have 5 skills. We go to the first skills required as a manager, this is called as technical skills. The skills needed to perform specialized tasks. I repeat again, the skills needed to perform specialized tasks are called technical skill. And these skills are developed through a combination of education and also experience. Technical skills are essentially important for first-line managers because they spend a lot of their time with day-to-day operations and also to produce the products or services. Then we move on to the next one, which is human relation skill or interpersonal skill. Effective managers, they have good human relation skills, and this skill enable them to understand and also to get along with other people. A manager with very low or poor human relation skills, they may have trouble getting along with their employees, subordinates. They also have trouble discussing, getting relationship with other departments. Yeah, and if a manager have poor human relation skills, they don't understand people, they cannot get along with people, normally what they'll do is that they will cause valuable employees to quit or even transfer to other organization, and it can also contribute to poor morale with the current existing employees. Yeah, although this skills is important for all management level, it is very most important for middle managers. The next one is conceptual skill. Conceptual skill, they refer to the person's ability to think in the abstract. They can also diagnose and they analyze different situations. You give them a problem, they can think abstract, they can diagnose the problem, they can analyze different situations, and they can also see beyond the present situation. Now, this is conceptual skills. Conceptual skills help managers to recognize new market opportunities. They also help managers to understand the threats, and this skill is very, very important for the top managers. At number 4, we look at decision-making skills. Decision-making skills, they include the ability to define the problem. They understand the problem. They can tell what the real problem is. Then they can also select the best course of action to tackle the problem. This is decision-making skill. And normally this skill would involve a manager to gather data, to gather facts, to identify different types of solutions, to evaluate different alternatives, and then implement the chosen alternative. That's decision-making skill. Next one, we also have a time management skill. This is a skill that is involved in the productive use of a manager's time, because managers are busy. There are a lot of wasted time. Some of the leading causes of wasted time for managers are paperwork, telephone calls. They receive so many telephone calls, meetings. Wasted a lot of managers' time sometimes, and also emails. So a manager needs to know how to properly manage what needs to be done, what needs to not to be done, what needs to be given to other people, what they should perform as well. Also, although we have other skills, but we are not going to mention all of them now. We are going to learn only about 5 for today. Yeah, but we acknowledge that there are other skills required by managers. Apart from that, those are the basic management skills. Nowadays, in the 21st century, managers also need to have additional skills in order for them to be successful. Let's take a look at some of these skills. Here we can see that we need 2 additional skills to perform or to be successful well in the 21st century. The first one is global management skill. The second one is management and technology skill. When it comes to global management skills, the manager need to be very good in understanding foreign markets. Yeah, they need to understand other countries. They need to understand different of culture, different way of doing things, different way of accepting things. And then they also need to understand the motive and also practice done by their foreign rival. It's not just local anymore, it's also foreign rival. Yeah, and also managers need to understand and be able to collaborate with other people all over the world on a real-time basis. That's global management skills. In addition to that, the managers also need to understand or be very good in management and technology skill. This is a skill whereby new forms of technology is added and how the manager is going to add this technology into processing information, and at the same time making it even more important to organize and interpret the ever-increasing wealth of input. Yeah. Okay guys, as you can see here, the topic is setting goals and formulating strategy. Obviously, this is a manager's responsibility. They are the one who's supposed to formulate strategies and set up goals. But before we discuss further, let's take a look at the definition first. To make it simple, goals are actually things that the business hopes and plans to achieve. Yeah, and while a strategy is just the organizational plans to implement the decision made to achieve those organization goals. Now let's take a look at a quick purpose of goal setting. There are 4 and it's quite easy. You see, an organization, they function systematically, they function well because they set proper goals and also they execute the plans accordingly. There are 4 main purposes of organizational goal setting, which includes number 1, they provide direction and guidance for managers at all levels. Number 2, they help firms to allocate resources accordingly. Number 3, they would help to define the corporate culture, how things are done in the organization. And number 4, they would help managers and also the employees to assess the performance, whether it's a performance of the employees, whether it's a performance of the department, or maybe performance of managers, and also we can assess performance of organization. So having a goal is very important. All organizations and managers would create goals for their own firms, for themselves, and also for the employees. And we have 3 types of goals. It's quite easy. Number 1 is short-term goal, and then we have intermediate goal, and it's long-term goal. We classify them actually based on the timeline. Short-term goal is goal that we set for the near future. We call that short-term goal. For example, what you want to achieve within 2 months, what you want to achieve within 6 months, or maybe by this week, or maybe by today. Those are all short-term goals. These are goals created to achieve within 0 to 1 year. And then when we come to intermediate goal, it is what we want to achieve from 1 to 5 years. I repeat again, intermediate goal is what we want to achieve within 1 to 5 years. Whereas long-term goal is goal that we want to achieve or company want to achieve when it comes to 5 years or more in the future. Yeah, that's how we classify them, types of goals. An organization normally, a good organization will have all, but the short-term goal would be present in all firms, whether it's small or big. Guys, goals are part of everyday aspect in our business and also in our life. Goals help to give us a sense of direction. Goals can help to motivate us. Goals can give us a clear focus. They can also clarify the importance of doing A or doing B. Therefore, by setting goals, you are providing yourself with a target to aim for. Normally, when we want to set up goals, we use the SMART method. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, realistic or relevant, and also timely. Yeah? Let's take a look at the first one, specific. When it comes to specific, goals that are specific, they have a higher chance of being accomplished. So you must have a goal that is well defined. You must be clear, it cannot be vague. It must be unambiguous to yourself or to people who you are telling your goal to. The next one is measurable. A good goal must have a criteria to measure the progress. Because if you don't have a criteria to measure the progress, then you don't know whether you are going to achieve it or not, whether you are on track or not. Normally, when we want to use measurable here, we use quantitative method, mathematics. For example, I want to achieve 5% increase of sales, or I want to achieve 3.9 CGPA. Those are measurable. Next one, achievable or attainable. A SMART goal must be achievable and attainable, because this will help you figure out your ways how you can realize the goal, and you can slowly work towards it. Yeah. So the achievability of the goal should be stretched to make you feel challenged, but it's defined well enough that you can actually achieve it. Next one is realistic or relevant. A goal must be realistic in that the goal can be realistically achieved given the available resources and also the time. So the goal must also be relevant to your life purpose. And last one is timely. A SMART goal must be time bound, that it has a start and a finish date. What you want to achieve when, for example. Yeah. If the goal is not time constrained, then you don't have a sense of urgency. You feel okay, relax, because you don't have a time constraint, and therefore what it will lead is that you'll be less motivated to achieve the goal. So this is the 5 things that you need to create any goal. Okay, this is our lecture code. Please put it in the attendance. Thank you so much. Alright, now we move on to the types of strategy. There's only three types. We have corporate strategy here, we have business or competitive strategy, and then we have functional strategy. Let's take a look at the first one, the corporate strategy first. To summarize, the purpose of corporate strategy is to determine what business a company will own and operate. Some corporations, they decide to own and operate a single business. Some corporations, they would decide to own and operate multiple businesses. Yeah? This will also determine how they want to grow in the future. Now, then we move on to the business or competitive strategy, the second one. When it comes to the business or competitive strategy, when a corporation owns and operates multiple businesses, they must develop different strategy for different businesses. So business or competitive strategy then takes place at the level of each of the business unit or the product line. And what business strategy do is that they focus on improving the company's competitive position. And then we go on to the last one, which is the functioning level. At the functioning strategy, when it comes to functioning strategy, the managers in specific areas such as like marketing, areas of finance, accounting, operation, each of them would develop or decide how best they can achieve the corporate goal by performing their functional activities most effectively. You can see in the figure here, there are three types of strategy that are usually considered by a company. They are corporate strategy, which is the biggest strategy of all, and then followed by business or competitive strategy, lastly followed by functional strategy. So after strategic goals have been established, managers normally they attempt to assess both their organization and also their environment. Again, I repeat, they have created goals, they have created a strategy, and then what they do is that they have to assess their organization and so their environment. Normally we use a framework. This framework is what we call as SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So this process involves assessing organizational strength and weaknesses first. These are internal things that we are good at, things that we are bad at. But this is what we can control. Yeah, and then we also assess environmental opportunities and threats. These are external things. We can't really control them, but we have to understand and take opportunity when the time comes. When it comes to formulating strategy, managers would try to capitalize on organizational strength, and then they will take advantage of environmental opportunities. When it comes to weakness, they would either try to overcome their weakness or even hide their weakness. When it comes to threats, they are going to look at the threats, identify the threats, see the patterns of the threat, and see what they can do to reduce or eliminate the threats altogether. This next part is discussing about the corporate culture. Every organization, whether they are big or small, whether they are more successful or less successful, they have some kind of feel towards it. Yeah. So just like every individual have a unique personality, every company also have their own unique identity. This is what we call as corporate culture. Corporate culture is just a shared experience, stories, beliefs, norms that characterize the organization. So if you go to organization, for example, you ask them, how do you do it? And then they say, oh, this is how we do things here. That is a corporate culture. Some corporation, they encourage their employees to compete, fight among themselves. So some corporation, they don't like that. They don't like competition among their employees. They want their corporations to be helping each other. Some corporations, they want it to be formal. They ask you to come wear formal, talk formally, everything must be formal. Whereas some organizations, they don't like formality. They want things to be very chill. They want things to be very relaxed. Those are all corporate culture. So who decide on corporate culture? The managers, top management would decide on corporate culture. Slowly, whatever they do, whatever they share, that would slowly create the corporate culture. So how do we communicate the corporate culture? How do we change people? There are a couple of things. Managers, number one, have to be very clear and understand what they want as a corporate culture, what they want their company to look like. Secondly, they would then must transmit the culture to others in the organization. So if they want things to be relaxed or chill, they must understand this is what we want. And then they are slowly to tell others, okay, you don't have to wear formally, you can just go and wear sandals, you can wear your own shirts, normals like that. So communicate, transmit. And then lastly, they should maintain the culture by rewarding those who understand and also those who works towards it. So if, for example, they want the culture, they want their employees to be competitive, therefore those who achieve higher sales will get the reward. This will then slowly create the competitive environment. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have benefited from my lecture. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.